There's a particular kind of silence that follows an argument, the kind that settles like dust after a storm, where even breathing feels too loud. Most of us learned to navigate this silence before we learned to ride a bike. We became architects of peace in chaos, little warriors who could read a room's temperature before we could read books. This isn't just another story about childhood trauma. It's about the invisible inheritance we carry, the weight of words never spoken, and the revolutionary act of finally setting that weight down. Some of us built entire personalities around being the strong one, the responsible one, the quiet one, roles we didn't choose but wore like armor. We learned to scan faces for micro-expressions, to predict storms before the first cloud appeared, to make ourselves useful enough to be worth keeping around. But beneath these carefully constructed surfaces, a child still waits, not for rescue, but for recognition. For the simple acknowledgement that their pain was real, their adaptations were brilliant, and their survival was nothing short of miraculous. In the spaces between "I'm fine" and the truth that catches in our throat resides a story that millions share, but few dare to voice. It's not just about what happened to us, it's about who we became in response. The way we learned to love from textbooks of absence, the way we built homes in other people because our own walls never felt safe enough. Today, we're peeling back these layers, not to expose our wounds, but to finally give them air to heal. Your history whispers in the way you apologize for needing space, in how you scan every room for exits, in the reflexive flinch when someone raises their voice. But here's the truth that's going to crack open the sky. Every defense mechanism that weighs you down today was once a brilliant solution. Every wall you built was an act of self-preservation. Every mask you wore was a testament to your determination to survive. Now it's time to learn a different kind of survival, one that doesn't cost you your peace. So today, we're diving into a journey that many of us share but few dare to speak about, healing our inner child in the wake of family dysfunction. Growing up in a home where love felt like a foreign language shapes us in ways we don't always recognize. Think about it. While other kids were wishing for new toys or adventures, some of us just wanted one peaceful dinner without raised voices echoing off the walls. One morning without the heavy silence that follows another midnight argument. One moment where we felt seen, heard, and enough. Loving yourself becomes the ultimate act of defiance when you've grown up in the shadows of conditional affection. It's a rebellion that begins quietly, in the gentle moments when you choose to speak to yourself with kindness, in the sacred space between heartbeats when you decide your worth isn't measured by another's inability to see it. This isn't the surface-level love of motivational posters and morning affirmations. This is the raw, unflinching kind that stands firmly in front of old wounds and says, "I see you, I honor you, and I choose to heal you." In the face of a past that taught you to shrink, to apologize for taking up space, to question every feeling and doubt every instinct, unconditional self-acceptance becomes your battle cry. It's rewriting the rules that were carved into your bones, the ones that whispered you had to earn every scrap of love, that your worth was tied to your usefulness, that silence was safer than self-expression. This is about claiming the pure, boundless love that should have been your birthright. Consider how revolutionary it feels to trust yourself after years of being told your perceptions were wrong, to honor your emotions when you were trained to swallow them whole, to stand in your truth when your history screams at you to run and hide. This isn't just healing. It's a fundamental restructuring of your internal universe, a bold declaration that the patterns stop here with you. Breaking generational chains requires more than acknowledgement. It demands the courage to feel everything. The rage of the child who wasn't protected, the grief of the teenager who became their own parent, the determination of the adult who refuses to pass this legacy forward. Each time you choose self-compassion over self-punishment, you're not just healing yourself. You're creating ripples that touch past and future generations, showing them a different way to exist in this world. Here's something they don't tell you about trauma survivors. We often become the world's most dedicated lovers. We pour ourselves into others like water into parched earth, hoping that by filling everyone else's cups, someone might notice when ours runs empty. We become experts at reading rooms, anticipating needs, and diffusing tensions before they explode, skills learned in childhood that now shape our adult relationships. But there's a bittersweet irony in becoming the person you needed when you were young. While it speaks to our resilience, it can also trap us in cycles of giving until we're hollow. We master the art of loving others but struggle to direct that same tenderness inward. We know exactly how to comfort a friend in crisis, but freeze when facing our own reflection. The path to healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about acknowledging the strength it took to survive it. Consider this. Every time you chose kindness despite knowing cruelty, every time you picked yourself up without a hand to hold, you were actively rewriting your story. Those weren't just moments of survival, they were quiet acts of revolution. Let's talk about what real healing looks like in practice. It starts with small moments of self-compassion, catching your reflection and offering a gentle smile instead of criticism. It's about creating the safe space you never had, even if that means starting with just a corner of your bedroom where you can breathe freely and exist without explanation. Remember the child who used to hide during arguments? The one who became an expert at making themselves small and invisible? It's time to tell them that they don't need to disappear anymore. Their feelings matter. Their presence matters. Their voice, even when shaky, deserves to be heard. And here's something that I say in every single one of my videos because it is so crucial to integrate. Healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel like you've conquered mountains, while others might find you back in old patterns, seeking validation in empty places. Both are perfectly normal parts of the journey. The key isn't perfection, it's persistence in showing up for yourself, especially when it feels foreign or uncomfortable. What if we reimagine self-love not as bubble baths and face masks, but as revolutionary acts of self-respect? It's about setting boundaries that honor your peace, choosing relationships that feed your soul rather than drain it, and learning to trust your own voice above the echoes of past criticism. Here's a truth that might feel surprising. You don't have to earn love. Not now, not ever. The same way a flower doesn't question its right to bloom, your existence alone makes you worthy of love and belonging. For those who grew up as emotional caretakers, learning to receive love can feel more challenging than giving it. So start small. Accept a compliment without deflecting. Allow someone to help you without feeling guilty. Let yourself be cared for without the need to immediately reciprocate. These aren't signs of weakness, they're proof of growth. Consider this perspective shift. Your sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's a superpower. The same depth that allows you to feel pain so intensely also enables you to experience joy, creativity, and connection on profound levels. Your emotional intelligence, born from necessity, is now a gift you can use to create the life you deserve. The quietest form of courage is choosing yourself repeatedly, even when no one is watching. It's trading the familiar discomfort of self-neglect for the unfamiliar territory of self-respect. It's believing that you deserve good things, not because you've earned them through suffering, but simply because you exist. Let's talk about creating new patterns. Instead of seeking home in other people, build it within yourself. Create routines that make you feel safe. Surround yourself with people who understand that healing isn't linear. And most importantly, learn to be gentle with yourself on days when old wounds feel fresh. Your story isn't just about survival anymore. It's about transformation. Every time you choose self-compassion over self-criticism, every time you honor your boundaries, every time you speak your truth, you're not just healing yourself, you're showing others what's possible. Remember this, the same heart that carried you through the storm is strong enough to carry you into peace. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to heal perfectly. You just have to keep showing up for yourself, one day at a time, one breath at a time, one moment of self-love at a time. There's a particular kind of strength in admitting you're still learning, still growing, still figuring out who you are beyond the roles you were forced to play. It lives in the quiet moments when you catch yourself extending the same grace to your mistakes that you so readily offer others. In the sacred space between who you were conditioned to be and who you're becoming, there's a profound truth. Healing isn't about reaching some distant finish line. It's about reclaiming your story, one chapter at a time. Think of every small act of self-compassion as a letter to your younger self, proof that their dreams of peace weren't just fantasy. Every time you honor your boundaries, speak your truth, or simply allow yourself to exist without apology, you're not just healing, you're becoming the ancestor your descendants will thank for breaking the chain. This journey isn't just about you anymore. It's about every heart that will beat easier because you dared to believe in healing. So, if you felt seen by this message today, share it with someone who needs to hear these words, subscribe for more healing conversations, and tell us in the comments. What's one way you plan to show up for your inner child this week? Thank you for watching. This is Ayla, signing off.